So I'm working on one of my newer Murray mowers that have the 550E series, or the E series Briggs and Stratton. Basically they all have the same carburetor from the 300E to the 550E with the primer bulb on them. And these are the newer all plastic carburetors. And this one here is starting, when I pull it, it acts like it wants to run and then cuts off. Symptoms of a carb issue, which is probably true since this is the mower that I have swapped the crankshaft on and done a bunch of other internal work too. But it does run. Figured I'd make a separate video on how to clean out these newer style Briggs and Stratton carburetors. So first off, all you gotta do is take this air filter cover off and the air filter off here. You're gonna have 4 bolts that you need to take off. First, you might want to clamp the gas line down there if you have gas in the tank, and I do. I'll get a clamp and clamp that. Some people like to take the engine cover off to get a little bit more access, as well as the gas tank. I usually don't have any trouble getting access to these because all your bolts are right here on the air filter cover, and all you have to do is take them off and the carburetor will slide out, and I can usually get the linkage off pretty easily too. It gets a little bit tight with the gas line, but it's not too bad. There's two bolts here that are, they're 5/16, and then there's one 7mm here, and then under here is another 7mm. You take those 4 off and slide the carburetor out, and I mean, you've got it out. So let me go ahead and do that. Alright, so the air filter housing is off. I've gotten the gas line clamped and disconnected from the carburetor. Now all that's left to do is to slide this out. If I can do it with one hand here. Alright, so I've slid it out. There's a little plastic piece that fell off. You have to make sure that that goes back on because it slides into this groove here. You have your linkage here. All you got to do is turn it sideways, pull the linkage off. You got the carburetor off, and now we can look inside it and clean it. Pretty easy to get into these. You have 2 7mm bolts on the bottom there. There's also a drain plug to drain the gas out. I just find it easier to, if it's got carb problems, if it's got old gas in it and it won't start, it probably needs a cleaning anyways, so I just go ahead and take it off and clean it. So I'll take these 2 bolts off. We'll see what's inside here. So I've got the 2 bolts off here off the bottom. Now all I got to do is pry it open here. We're gonna see what it looks like under here. Sorry for the shaky camera. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's got a little bit of old gas residue in it. Let me pour out what's here. It's pretty clean. It's a little bit milky, a little bit hazy. The jet looks clean, but yeah, I found these new carburetors can be really deceiving, and that they are really sensitive to old gas. So I've got some air here, compressed air, and I've got some carb cleaner. I'll use both, and we'll get this thing clean and get it back on the mower. Pardon my air compressor running, but I just want to kind of show you all where I blew out the air ports at. It's actually 3 of them that you can see here. The first one is right here, and it actually connects to this little plastic piece. It has a small hole in it, and it goes, and that's just a port there. There's 2 of them inside the carburetor here. The first one is right there, and the second one is right there. These are just mounting holes, so you don't have to worry about those. The jet on these is on the side right there where my thumb is, and then there's also another kind of like a depth port down here, right here, Obviously you got where your fuel inlet is here. And then there's a last one here. I didn't have to even take the float off to get to it, but it's up in there. Kind of up in that area on this side of the carburetor. You'll see it if the camera's not picking it up here. Not too far from where my thumb is. But yeah, it wasn't too dirty, but again, these carburetors seem to be really sensitive. So let me get it back together, get it back on the mower, and I'll start it up and see if I have been able to fix it. So it's back on the mower. I just did the opposite of what I did getting it on. Before you slide your carburetor into the grooves here, you just have to put your linkage back on while it's out here. It will stretch out far enough. Then when you slide it on, you just have to make sure you slide it into your intake tube in the back there. And then when you put the cover on, just make sure that your breather here hooks up to your air filter housing the right way, and you'll be good to go. So I'm going to connect the gas line back here. It's already connected, I just need to clamp it. Put the air filter housing back on, and the air filter, I mean, it's just 2 5/16 and 2 7mm. Pretty self-explanatory. And maybe we'll have a good carburetor again. So the mower here that I cleaned out the carburetor on is running good, and I just wanted to show y'all that the carburetor ended up fixing the running capability on this mower. So and I had already test ran it, which is why I didn't have to prime it. It was still warm. So that's in a nutshell how you clean one of these new style carburetors. Again, they seem to be a little bit more sensitive than the older metal type. So if you ever store these, you should do it with all mowers, but especially these, for more than a month or so, I definitely drain all the gas out of it so that you don't have any trouble. But hope you guys found this video informative, and hopefully it helped some of y'all out fixing these new style Briggs and Stratton engines. And thank you all for watching.